Chapter 5 Discovers a Footprint. Up until this point, Robinson had avoided his canoe, but now he felt compelled to visit the place where he had left it, although he was still reluctant to set sail in it. When he reached the hill where he had once observed the current, he found that there was no current at all. He deduced that the movement of the water must be influenced by the tide. Despite this, he remained cautious about venturing far in the canoe, although he spent some time at his shelter and frequently went out for short sails. One day, while walking along the beach toward his boat, Robinson suddenly froze in place, his heart racing. He had spotted something on the sand, an unfamiliar footprint. It was clearly not his own, and the shape was different. Who could it belong to? He listened intently and scanned his surroundings, but heard nothing and saw no one. He hurried up a nearby hill to survey the area, but found nothing of concern. He searched the beach for more footprints, but found none. Whose footprint could it be? He considered the possibility that someone might be hiding, ready to ambush him. Fear overtook him as he rushed back to his shelter, convinced that someone was following him. Every tree stump and bush seemed to take the shape of a person waiting to attack. That night, he couldn't sleep, and every rustle or distant noise made him jump in terror. Over the following days, Robinson's fear gradually subsided, and he resumed his daily tasks. Still, he reinforced the fence around his shelter, adding small openings with muskets ready to fire in case of an attack. To further protect himself, he planted a dense ring of stakes around his dwelling, making it harder to spot. Years passed quietly, and Robinson thought less and less about the footprint. Yet he continued to stay mostly on the island's interior, always on the lookout for potential hiding spots. He also began to carry a cutlass, in addition to his gun and pistols. One day, Robinson ventured farther west than ever before and noticed something in the distance on the water. It looked like a boat or canoe, but it was too far to tell for sure. This sighting prompted him to bring the telescope he had salvaged from the wreck to his lookout. The thought of a possible boat made him uneasy, but he continued his walk along the beach. There, he came across a scene that filled him with dread. Scattered across the shore were human skulls, alongside the remnants of a large fire. Robinson immediately understood the horror. Cannibals had been there. Although he had never encountered cannibals before, he knew of their gruesome practices. Robinson now realized that the island had been a regular site for such horrifying events, and he felt a deep sense of relief that he had been stranded on the opposite side of the island, far from their reach. Shocked and horrified, Robinson hurried back to his shelter. For nearly 2 years, he avoided the area where the bones lay and stayed far from his boat. During this time, he often pondered how he might deal with the cannibals should they return. He considered ways to stop them during their feasts, but quickly realized that any such attempt could be far too dangerous. He thought about hiding nearby, planning to ambush them when they came ashore. He even considered using his gun and pistols to take out as many of them as possible, then rushing in with his cutlass to finish the rest. He felt confident that, caught by surprise, he could defeat up to 20 of them, but only if they never saw him coming. For a time, this plan consumed Robinson's thoughts. Each day, he would trek to his lookout hill to scan the horizon for signs of approaching canoes. However, after several months of seeing nothing, his vigilance waned. He began to question whether it was truly his place to intervene. After all, The cannibals were simply following the traditions of their people, and he felt that he had no right to strike unless they attacked him first. He also worried that if he did kill any of them, even one might escape, returning to their tribe and leading hundreds more to seek revenge. The thought of being hunted down and killed was far too dreadful to entertain. Ultimately, Robinson decided that avoiding the cannibals and erasing any trace of his presence was the safest course of action. For more than a year, he stayed away from that part of the beach and moved his boat to the far eastern end of the island, where the strong currents would prevent the cannibals from ever reaching it. Robinson spent more time than ever in his two shelters, rarely leaving except to visit a secluded valley where he kept most of his goats. He avoided firing his gun or making any loud noises, worried that the sound might attract the cannibals. He also became especially careful not to make any daytime fires, as the smoke would be visible from a distance. When he needed a large fire, he would light it at night or occasionally in the valley, where the smoke was less noticeable. Over time, he also learned how to make charcoal by burning wood underground, which produced no smoke, further ensuring his safety.